Alright, plot and find the absolute value. The absolute value, well, to plot an imaginary number or a complex number, you plot the real part on the horizontal axis and the imaginary part on the vertical axis. So 0 over and 1, 2, 3 down. That's where minus 3i resides. And the absolute value of minus 3i is just its distance from 0, which is 3. So the absolute, where I plot 3 plus 4i, real part is 3, so I'll go over 3. I'll go up 4 on the imaginary axis, that's where 3 plus 4i is. The absolute value of 3 plus 4i is its distance from 0, and the bottom is 3. The side is 4 because I went up 4, so my hypotenuse is 5. I can just use Pythagoras. 2 minus I over 2 down 1. That's where 2 minus I is. The absolute value of 2 minus I, well, this time I'm going to have to do a little work. Okay, my legs are 2 and 1. My absolute value is that length of the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse squared is 2 squared, which is 4, plus 1. So the hypotenuse squared is 5. So the absolute value of 2 minus I is the length of that hypotenuse, which is root 5. Okay, that's example 3. Example 4, solve x squared plus 4 equals 0, and then show factors for x squared plus 4. So let's subtract 4 from both sides. So x squared equals negative 4. Sorry about the messiness. So x is plus and minus the square root of negative 4. So x is plus and minus 2i. Now, if I know zeros, I also know factors. If plus 2i is a 0, then x minus 2i is a factor, and the other factor is x plus 2i. Let me show you how this works. X squared plus 4, can I factor it? Well, it's not a difference of 2 squares. But let me write it as a difference of 2 squares. That's the same as x squared minus negative 4, which is the same as x plus the square root of negative 4, which is 2i, and x times x minus the square root of negative 4. Okay, number 5, let's solve this. Well, right away, I can just divide by 2. I don't need to work with these big numbers if I can make them smaller. So x squared equals negative 12. Take the square roots of both sides. Don't forget the plus minus. So it's the square root of negative 12. So x is plus and minus. 12 is 4 times 3, and 4 is a perfect square. So that's the same as 2 root 3. How do I take care of the negative under the square root? I pluck out an I, make an I. Okay, number 6, the last problem in this section. Solve x squared minus 3x plus 1 equals 0. It's a quadratic, it's not factorable, so I'm going to use my quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus and minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. In this case, a is 1, b is negative 3, and c is 1. Very carefully now. X is negative b when b is negative 3, so it's negative negative 3 or positive 3, plus and minus. The square root, b squared when b is negative 3. Well, negative 3 squared is positive 9, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 1, which is minus 4 all over 2a, which is 2. So it's 3 plus or minus root 5 over 2. I expected a negative under the square root sign, but it didn't happen that time. But if there is a negative under a square root sign, you now know how to write that as a complex number.